seen today.
If you don't play the rest of the day. I can't believe what I just saw. We got a ball game.
Back at Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas. It's Western Kentucky and North Texas in the Conference USA quarterfinals on Stadium, presented by Yahoo Sports. Enter your bracket now, yahoo.com/bestbracket for a chance to win $1 million. The number 10 North Texas Mean Green, Denton to Frisco, just about 30 miles away. And the number 2 Western Kentucky Hilltoppers in quarterfinal number 2 here on Court A. And welcome courtside, Noah Kozlov alongside the former Northwestern star Tim Doyle. So Western Kentucky all year the conversation around Conference USA has been, they're the most talented team, but can they put it all together? So Tim, do they put it all together?
Yeah, if I had the answers right now, Rick Stansbury would have me receiving a check as well. I should be on his coaching staff. What an outstanding game it was between ODU and La Tech, and we expect another close ball game. Here's the thing about North Texas. If they get an early lead, this crowd's going to get behind them, and then which team's going to show up for Western Kentucky? Noah, like you said, that's been a storyline all season long.
And the individual storyline for Western Kentucky has been Charles Bassey. Will he be one and done? But the freshman of the year, the defensive player of the year, they need him a lot to do offensively.
And I love his touch around the basket. He has exceptional footwork as well, and timing. He blocks shots with the best of them. Bassey has blocked more shots this year than 57 Division I basketball schools. It might be one and done, but it has been a special year in Bowling Green. And on the flip side, Umoja Gibson can shoot it, and shoot it with confidence. 7 threes last out against FIU. He's shooting 40% on the year. He's only 6'4", but he's really the shooting guard. And if North Texas is going to win this game, they're going to have to make double-digit threes.
Our keys to the game presented by Yahoo Sports. Enter your bracket now, yahoo.com/bestbracket for a chance to win $1 million. So what needs to happen for one of these teams to move on to Friday?
Yeah, for North Texas, limit second chances, and that's really just Bassey on the inside. He can't dominate like he did on the first matchup. And for Western Kentucky, this all comes down to leadership. Is Lamonte Bearden, the Buffalo transfer, who's a redshirt senior, gonna lead this squad? Noah Kozlov, Western Kentucky's the most talented team in the league, but North Texas has their crowd behind them. Something's got to give in Frisco, Texas.
This evening's starters for North Texas: Jordan Duffy, Umoja Gibson, Roosevelt Smart. Michael Miller, who North Texas hopes to get 15 minutes from. He's been wearing a boot on his foot because of a stress fracture. Zachary Simmons was great on Wednesday night. Lamonte Bearden, Jared Savage, Josh Anderson, Tavian Hollingsworth, and the aforementioned freshman of the year, Charles Bassey. For Rick Stansbury, sitting on that stool because he had back surgery. Their tournament resume, really good out-of-conference wins against Wisconsin, St. Mary's, Arkansas, but then again, they've just been up and down all year. Our Yahoo Sports tournament resume. Western Kentucky in the whites, North Texas in the blacks. Antonio Petty, Kerry Sitton, Clyde Owens are officials. 10 on the floor, everybody else with a nice view, and we're underway. Final number 2, Court A.
Lots of green here, Noah Kozlov.
And also a lot of red in the stands for the Hilltoppers. Traveling well from Bowling Green. Duffy has North Texas on the board first.
Jordan Duffy did not play the last time these two teams met up. But he's a guy who could score in bunches, and he's playing his best basketball this season after missing 8 games due to injury.
He had a hip injury that kept him out. Savage. And again, North Texas played last night. Western Kentucky did not. And we saw in the first game how much trouble Old Dominion had with the sightlines here at the Star. It's a football facility, and they put down basketball courts, so the sightlines, the shooting lines are different. Western Kentucky, the 2 seed, as Anderson is fouled. 11-7 in conference. North Texas 8-8 Their win last night against FIU snapped a 7-game losing streak.
It's been quite the year for Grant McCaslin. This is a squad that opened up 15-1. The Mean Green got off to an outstanding start, but some would say their schedule was a bit light.
Some for everybody. Grant McCaslin at 41-29 in his second season. Rosia Gibson picked up the first personal foul. Ken Pom had it ranked 343 out of 353. As Anderson gets 1 of 2.
So you're right. Everyone would say it was a weak schedule then.
Yes, correct. And Jordan Duffy sets up the offense. A 71-57 wire-to-wire victory against Florida International a night ago. Duffy lost it, but he was fouled. And the foul is on Anderson, his first, and the team's first.
I heard Tim Scarborough use the comparison with Tom Hanks. Life is like a box of chocolates. Western Kentucky is the same way. You never know what you're going to get.
I just always hope for the coconut cluster.
I like the caramel in the middle.
Beating Simmons. Simmons lost it. Got to put it up. He does, and it's Western Kentucky basketball.
I'll take Bassey in that matchup every day.
Despite Simmons going 7 for 7 last night, and Anderson will go to the line looking for the three-point play.
All right, if you have not seen Western Kentucky play, obviously Bassey's going to get all the love. Josh Anderson may be the best pro talent in all of Conference USA. Now, when he is good, I believe he's the best player in the league. And that's saying a lot. But like his squad, up and down, I got a chance to see him live when he had 25 points against Marshall. He buried 2 threes. And that night, he was one of the top 20 college basketball players out there. But then last out against UTSA comes off the bench, and he was non-existent.
Just 4 points in their previous outing against UTSA on Wednesday. A loss, 81-76 in overtime, and Simmons meets Anderson at the top.
Quick sub in the game. Ryan Woolridge was really the catalyst for this North Texas offense. He has not been the same since missing 2 games and coming back from injury. He's in 0 and black.
Been battling leg tendinitis. Smart, their leading scorer a year ago. A little bit of a different role this year. Misses in close. North Texas starts 1 for 4. Bearden spins. Way too strong. Check that, Hollingsworth. Number 11 in white. Anderson. Caught North Texas sleeping, and Woolridge will foul Anderson, and he'll go back to the line for 2.
Yeah, this is a bad sign for North Texas because you were hoping to get the dormant Josh Anderson. You've seen him get to the line, tough finish, now a steal. He's been all the offense for the Hilltoppers. Here was a guy who was a top 75 recruit out of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, ends up taking his talent to Bowling Green. And I think if he works on his perimeter jump shot, I'm talking about hundreds of shots a day, he could easily be a next level talent. I'm talking about the NBA.
It's the three-point shooting that's been the question this year. At 15 for 48, but he continues to work on it. Saw him play in high school at Madison Prep Academy. He was down at that Bass Pro Shops Tournament of Champions in Springfield, Missouri, as North Texas throws it away for their second turnover.
What did you see there that you liked about him?
Just athleticism.
Got a chance to talk to Grant McCaslin, who's done an outstanding job here. his second season. For the first time in 9 years, he had multiple players on the all-conference team. He is building a solid program here.
Bearden off the right side. Trailing 5-2 is North Texas. Woolridge penetrates, kicks, smart for 3, no. That should be North Texas basketball, and it is.
We saw in the last matchup between Old Dominion and Louisiana Tech periods of the game, Noah Kozlov, where there was a rhythm from an offensive standpoint, and then periods for both teams where not so much.
DJ Draper did not play against Florida International. He's a three-point shooter, and he lost it off his foot. Diving on the floor, he keeps it away from Anderson. Made a mistake and redeemed himself. Then he gets it back for 3. Too strong. Bassey the board.
How about getting Charles Bassey a touch?
Not a bad idea.
You know, and that's,
he had one yet.
And that's where the leadership of Western Kentucky has got to come into play. Someone's got to recognize, hey, Bassey has not touched the ball. Let's get 23 and White a touch.
Simmons doing a good job fronting him in the post. And there's Bassey, and he turns around Simmons, and it's an easy 2.
Yeah,
maybe you should be on Rick Stansbury's staff.
Let's not do that, because that's way too easy. Instead, let's just shoot 20-foot jump shots. You got an All-American down low. As I used to say at the parks in New York City, feed the horse.
And Bassey can eat. 10 on the shot clock for Woolridge. Nifty, and Bassey swats it away. Hollingsworth.
Got away with a walk. I'd get Bassey another touch. Throwing the ball down low.
At 2, the block. Wants it back on the repost. Anderson slicing, and a blocking call.
And if you're Rick Stansbury right now, your team has a 5-point lead, but you have one of the more unique talents in all of college basketball. Folks, he's only a freshman. He's only had 1 touch. And look how easy it is. If I'm Western Kentucky, like I said, feed the horse.
Hi, I'm Michael Kim, host of The Territory, your destination for all the sports news and information you need to start your day. Here's a taste of what you can expect. Houston introduces Dana Holgorsen as its next head coach. Holgorsen returns to Houston, where he was the offensive coordinator. Adam Kaplan, NFL Insider, joining us here. You can call it a mess, a controversy, whatever you want to call it. Where did the Steelers go from here? Miami introduces Manny Diaz as the 25th head coach in program history. Brian Orakpo has retired. The 4-time Pro Bowler made the announcement yesterday. Lawrence Holmes, the hardest working man in show business, the godfather of Chicago sports. Right there, the answers over the last 5 minutes here. He proves why he is the godfather of Chicago sports. Good stuff, Lawrence, as always.
Never secondary. Yeah. We're legendary.
Can he go the distance? Yes, he can.
Never secondary. We're legendary.
Oh, man! I can't believe what I just saw.
Never secondary. We're legendary. We're legendary.
Oh, my goodness!
We're legendary.
Little upset. UAB over UTSA. As much of an upset as a 5 over a 4 can be. They'll take on Old Dominion in the semifinals on Friday. Southern Miss and Marshall coming up 10 Eastern on Facebook. Join Chris Hassel, Tim Scarborough, Kristen Balboni for that one. So this was the question, Tim, for Western Kentucky. Which team will show up? Net rankings, beat Wisconsin, St. Mary's, Arkansas, but then some dreadful losses.
And I think that comes down to leadership. You know, I'm pointing out the getting Bassey the ball. And when you have strong leadership, there's a consistency that you see from teams that have been around the block. That's why when I look at the tournament this year, now I'm going to put Gonzaga I'm going to put a Virginia, a Tennessee, a North Carolina as my favorites over a Duke because I like to see the consistency of those older teams that have been there before.
Bassie has left his mark on Grant McCaslin already with the 2 points, but already 3 rebounds and 2 blocks in 5 minutes. And North Texas suffering from an 8-0 run for Western Kentucky over the last 4 minutes, and they have come up empty in their previous 7 possessions. They're 1 for 8. That first bucket from Gibson, and he's sitting with 2 personal fouls. Corner 3 for Draper. DJ Draper doing what he does best.
I love the 4-move walk-on. Draper's one of those guys that lays it all on the line. The Rudy of North Texas.
Anderson traveled.
Now, you should know better if you're Josh Anderson. You can't help off of Draper. That's all he does. And that's just poor decision-making by Anderson. That's kind of the frustration with his talent. Got to know personnel and what they do. Let Woolridge make that tough layup instead of give Draper an open look.
Draper thought about it that time, just couldn't get it off fast enough.
I don't like this matchup, leaving Simmons on an island.
Miller's got to do something with it. Duffy bricked it, never hit anything. And that's a shot clock violation. 3rd turnover for the Mean Green already. And Grant McCaslin is asking Antonio Petty what, but that never hit anything. Didn't hit the rim.
How would we grade Grant McCaslin's blazer?
Very academic.
It's outstanding.
Going with the brown dress shoes tonight as opposed to the dress sneakers last night. And there's a 3 from Tavion Hollingsworth.
One of the best guards in Conference USA, only a sophomore as we get a travel here on Miller. Hollingsworth is one of those guys that you just look up in every game, 15, 16 points. Coming into the game, only needed 53 points, Noah, to reach 1,000. I mean, scoring 1,000 points before your sophomore year is up, super impressive.
You'd be the first ever to do it at Western Kentucky. His team leads by 6. Mustafa Jund into the game for the first time, wearing 12 in white, and Hollingsworth has 2 more.
And this is the exact same play they ran the previous possession. Instead of shooting the 3, he's able to bait Woolridge into the foul. Great body control, concentration. You see 13 All-Conference USA for the sophomore from Lexington.
A 78% free throw shooter. 3-point play. You can see Grant McCaslin there. So much for the jacket, Tim. The jacket's off, and his team's down 9.
Well, at least we got the compliment in before the jacket is gone. He's trying to inspire his team. You just wonder where can they get offense from. So far, Gibson has been quiet.
This Western Kentucky team has struggled this year defending opposing guards. They've done a pretty good job so far tonight as they seem locked in on that end. And that is 3 straight turnovers for North Texas.
Umoja Gibson has been so good this year, consistent for the All-Conference USA freshman team performer, but he seems a bit rattled. So does North Texas.
Floater. Not enough for Bearden. So Gibson's on the floor with 2 personal fouls. They need that offense, and Duffy gets fouled by Bearden.
You know that Grant McCaslin's going to pull out all the stops today to figure out, all right, who's going to be able to get it going. I got a feeling if North Texas has any chance, can I throw a name at you? Roosevelt Smart. In the first matchup, he was 1 of 12 from the field against Western Kentucky. Here's a guy who averaged nearly 20 points a game last year. He's at the top of your screen, number 3 in black. His scoring is down nearly 50% this year.
We've got some other playmakers this year, but Smart with over 1,000 points in his career. He has it here. Takes a lot of contact. Daniel go to the line. Foul on Merrick Nelson. Returned after missing 12 games with a back injury. And maybe you should be on Grant McCaslin's staff also.
You know, here's the deal. I'm going to tell everybody right now who's watching this game. I have an earpiece that gets the calls like Tony Romo does on the calls of his games. Tony Romo knows what plays they're running.
Well, we are at the Star, the Cowboys practice facility, and now you feel a little Tony Romo vibe here.
He has like a Frank Drebin Naked Gun earpiece where he hears the plays.
A second chance opportunity. Tope Arikaway into the game for the first time, misses his first field goal attempt. Tavion Hollingsworth during the first 3 games of bonus play averaged 18.3 points per game. At 10 in their final regular season game against UTSA. Nelson hangs, misses, and Mustafa John hangs with it for the putback. He's played just 68 minutes all season.
His only field goal was a 3-pointer. That's his first 2-pointer of the year for the redshirt junior from Senegal.
And Gibson trapped.
I think that ball was tipped there. They missed that call. North Texas is in a funk right now offensively as Western Kentucky, the good Western Kentucky, has showed up so far. Tavion Hollingsworth with a couple of buckets on the perimeter, burying 3, and then getting some contact and completing the 3-point play. The good Hilltoppers, they're up 10.
Hey, I'm Kristen Balboni, the host of Campus Insiders. We got you covered every weekday at 2:30 Eastern. We're telling you all the biggest news from the world of college sports. We're talking Big 12, ACC, Mountain West, Conference USA, and so much more. Take a look. We start things off with our football insider, Brett McMurphy, to break down all things CUSA. You know it's time for our favorite game. Great move, real smooth, gotta improve. Oh. We know that the Big 12 always produces good players, and we know the big names that are out there right now. But who is the guy that no one's talking about that's really good?
Yeah, learn the name. He's only a sophomore, Tristan Clark.
Well, it's time to welcome in our Hoops insider, Jeff Goodman. So, Jeff, you know, if we're talking Mountain West, we got to start with Nevada, of course. Now, to give us the scoop on everything in the college football world, it's time to welcome in our friend Matt Fortuna from The Athletic.
Look at this. I mean, this is like stuff that happens at Cape Canaveral.
A great matchup for you.
Touchdown! There may be a better play the rest of the day.
I know what I did in that box.
62!
Tiger will win a major again.
Oh, possible shot! That's what I'm talking about.
Got our own celebrity row here at the Star in Frisco. Mike White, the Western Kentucky quarterback. Now the 3rd stringer for the Dallas Cowboys, the 5th round pick just a year ago. It's what he did his final season with the Hilltoppers. 26 touchdowns and over 4,000 yards, up near the top of the FBS ranks. And wearing the number 1, I don't know if that's a Lamonte Bearden official jersey. But this is his second home and rooting on his former home in Western Kentucky.
Well, the Cowboys quiet during free agency, a wild week in the NFL. Cole Beasley no longer going to be wearing the Star. He moves on to colder pastures up in Buffalo.
Mustafa John, let's not get carried away. You just had your first field goal.
First 2-pointer, that is.
Right, his first 2-pointer. Has 1 3 this year. Smart. This is a lineup that you don't see very often at all from Western Kentucky. So many reserves in at once. Jake Omer, 21, along with Hollingsworth, who has 2, and Hollingsworth has a game-high 8.
Noah, doesn't he play with amazing pace? Like, he's never out of control. And when he's hitting that mid-range jump shot, really tough to guard.
Going back door and the finish. Umoja Gibson. Now, you mentioned Hollingsworth from Lexington, Kentucky, the 2017 Kentucky Mr. Basketball. And imagine the Kentucky Mr. Basketball team without an offer from Kentucky or Louisville. That's not something Dan D'Antoni would let any Mr. Basketball West Virginia get away from Marshall. And then the 3 from Jake Omer with the hand in his face.
I mean, that's what Omer does. He's made 14 field goals this year, Noah Kozloff. 12 of them have been threes.
He's now 12 for 43 from downtown. And the lead is the largest for Western Kentucky at 13, and it stays that way. Miller misses the 3.
It's starting to become danger zone time. You don't want this to get up to 17 or 18. I'm not sure North Texas has the scoring punch to make a run. They want to keep this, and still it is, within striking distance.
Here, the bottom in Conference USA in scoring at about 66 per game. Right side miss from Nelson.
And Mean Green only mustered up 59 points in their 62-59 loss to Western Kentucky.
And that's going to be Western Kentucky basketball. Smart didn't know it.
Yeah, excellent call there.
And remember that one, they were down 30-15 at the half. They shot 20.5% from the floor in the first half, 1 for 15 from 3. And today they're 1 for 6 from 3, 3 for 14 from the floor.
They had the 4th largest crowd ever at North Texas to witness that North Texas Western Kentucky game, and they opened up 1 of 15 from 3, and right now struggling once again on offense.
I hope they stuck around for the second half when they made it close. That was the start of the 7-game losing streak that was snapped last night. Omer gets it back.
Did you see Bassie there?
Great hustle in the corner.
Keep that ball alive, soft touch, saves it, and gives Western Kentucky another possession.
Tolu Smith with Miller on him, and Miller fouls him. And Miller is hobbling.
Right now, Michael Miller has been banged up. Really only participation has been in game play. He's out there giving it his all. But look at Rick Stansbury, the ultimate chess player. He's got Tolu Smith and Charles Bassie in the game at once.
And this is what I think Southern Miss expected to see from Rick Stansbury when we called that game in Hattiesburg that Western Kentucky won, but then they didn't go with it. And it was Southern Miss who was able to keep their guards on the floor. I expected to see it, and now we see it against a much smaller North Texas team. In fact, the 12th shortest team in the country, and Southern Miss at number 2.
Nice closeout there by Omer on Draper.
Miller spins, nowhere to go.
Smart's gonna shoot that ball.
Attacks, but it looked like he traveled it, he did.
Yeah, you gotta shoot that 3. You know, you get amongst the trees there. Bassie and Smith are in the middle, and North Texas is not playing with any confidence from an offensive standpoint. If they're going to be competing this game, though, Kozloff, they have to take their open shots and make double-digit threes. They're down 14 in Frisco.
Oh, God. Someone throw me a bottle of Advil now. I'm going to need it this entire damn show.
On behalf of America's team, Tyler Schramm Jacobs, I, Dave Ross, would like to offer you a peace offering today. Yeah, it's like the Matumbo. Man, I'm so glad I didn't lose this wager.
Ah! My word! On the concrete!
Guys. Sierra's hair. Of course it's not real. Come on. Ask any woman. They'll tell you.
If there was only an expression that could explain exactly what it means for America to be represented by the Cowboys.
Never secondary.
Yeah.
We're legendary.
Can he go the distance? Yes, he can.
Never secondary. We're legendary.
Oh, my! I can't believe what I just saw.
Never secondary. We're legendary. We're legendary.
Oh, my goodness!
We're legendary.
It looks like Mike White's protecting his starter. Usually it's an offensive lineman's job, but he's there with Cowboys starting quarterback Dak Prescott. Mississippi State grad. You know, it's tough for me, being an Eagles fan, being just surrounded by the star. Surrounded. Like even the blanket in the hotel has the star on it in the corner.
I did see that.
So that went right on the floor. And then everywhere you go, there's a star. There's a Deion Sanders painting in the hotel room. So I took that off and turned that around. And now I'm 15 feet from Dak Prescott. But that Eagles Lombardi trophy is a bit shinier than the ones the Cowboys have had since it's been about 20 plus years. And a turnover the other way from Western Kentucky.
Are you done? Because this is not like a therapy session here. We're announcing a game. We get it, all right? You're an Eagles fan.
All right, Tim. North Texas, a scoring drought of 2.5 minutes. They trail by 14. Simmons, who was so effective as Bassie moves him out of the way, and he's whistled for the foul, and he doesn't really understand it. Simmons was so effective last night against FIU, 7 for 7 from the floor. He had 19 points and 16 rebounds. Could use a little bit of that, but the competition is a bit stiffer. Smart. The floater. Off the back iron. I like the look. Good set play. Anderson attacks. That's too strong, and Smith has soft hands. And North Texas calls timeout. They don't know what to do with the bigs out there on the floor. Western Kentucky, their largest lead, 24-8. The drought has hit 3 minutes and 22 seconds. And North Texas is trying to figure out where they can get offense from. 3 for 15 from the floor. Let's take a look at our Madness Moment presented by Yahoo Sports.
Almost double their season total in West Coast Conference play of being behind. Kuzi throws up a wild one off the glass.
Oh, my. When you're making shots like that, are you kidding me? Shots like that lead to upset city.
Madness Moments presented by Yahoo Sports. Enter your bracket now, yahoo.com/bestbracket for a chance to win $1 million. The stolen bid out west with St. Mary's.
You see the usual stoic Randy Bennett. He was gassed because he has had better teams at St. Mary's, but they figured out a way to knock off the Zags, who in my eyes are the favorite to win it all. And I actually think that loss is going to be a good thing. A teachable moment that Mark Few can point to for a squad that I really see no weaknesses in, and they just played awful that night against St. Mary's.
St. Mary's, the team that Western Kentucky beat. It's always the question going into the tournament. Duffy got away with the travel.
This is the matchup. Whoever Smith is guarding, I would try to go at him.
Woolridge does, and he gets one to fall. Scoring drought ends in just about 4 minutes.
I would try to identify whoever Tolu Smith is guarding and let that person go one-on-one, especially out on the perimeter. You got to use your strength like Western Kentucky's using theirs, being size and strength.
Or at least try to throw him in a pick and roll and force him to guard.
And no doubt.
Hollingsworth. Look good coming out of his hands, and it'll be North Texas basketball on the foul. It's going to be the second on Bassi. And that's a question, Tim, I was getting into it. You mentioned Gonzaga, and that's always the question going into the tournament for teams that are really good, like whether they go undefeated. Is it good to have a loss right before the tournament? I don't know if the data is there to tell you whether it is or not, but it's got to be something psychological.
Well, I think WCC competition, I don't think prepares Gonzaga for the tournament as Wolvers drives and nearly turns it over. So I think a loss gets Gonzaga back on point. This is a Gonzaga team that knocked off a full-strength Duke squad in Maui.
Yep.
So clearly they can compete with anybody, and I'm going to take the loss as a positive thing.
Miller, travels. Stop me if you've heard this before. Now that's their 10th turnover of the first half. They averaged 13 a game.
And Miller had his opportunity to get some sort of shot off there.
Coach McCaslin must have heard how much we liked his jacket. He put it back on.
This game is still within range, but you just wonder how's North Texas going to get this to single digits when it has been painful for them on the offensive end.
Bearden, good defense by Simmons, and then North Texas couldn't corral the rebound.
Simmons and Gibson running into each other. You know, Bassi, he's going to be on the bench next 5:22. This is the time, if you're North Texas, to get back in this game.
Hollingsworth, little hesitation, and he kicks out his legs real wide and hits it from the elbow. Number 10 in black is Jemiah Simmons from St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands. Woolridge, another floater. Been wild on that. Hollingsworth, Conference USA third team, and did he push off? He did. It's his first. Western Kentucky 18-13, 2-2 in bonus play. Quick three is short. And again, bonus play this year in Conference USA, if you're not familiar with it, after 14 regular season games, wherever the teams fell, they were put in the pods, 1 through 5, 6 through 10, 11 through 14, to try to boost resumes of possible at-large teams or even boost the seed of the automatic qualifier. A lot of contact. And Josh Anderson will go to the free throw line.
Yeah, I like that Conference USA is thinking outside of the box. And here's why. Last year, they definitely should have gotten 2 teams. I think they deserve 3. But Middle Tennessee with an RPI in the 30s should have gotten in. They're ranked in the top 25, double-digit road wins. They don't get in. Marshall does, and they knock off Wichita State.
And speaking of seeds, Stadium has you covered this weekend for Selection Sunday. You can join Kristen Balboni, Doug Gottlieb, our College Hoops insider, Jeff Goodman for the best games, players to keep an eye on in the NCAA tournament. The Bracket Scouting Selection Special is live Sunday, 7 to 9 Eastern on Stadium. Welcome to the game. Just that bonus play. It's a little messy logistically as Duffy gets 2 in close. So some of the coaches might not like it. Ops guys don't necessarily like it because they're booking flights, all sorts of crazy last-minute stuff. But I do like that they're thinking outside the box.
I wonder if other conferences like the Atlantic 10, Missouri Valley.
Yeah, maybe more Missouri Valley than A-10.
Like, I'm trying to figure out, like, great backdoor cut and really taking advantage of the overzealous Anderson. What other conferences do you think are going to look at Conference USA? We'll talk about that coming up next. Western Kentucky, they're up 16. Can North Texas make a run?
Hey, I'm Kristen Balboni, one of the hosts of Game Time in America, the show that gets you set for everything happening that night in sports. Here's a look at what you can expect every Monday through Friday at 6 Eastern. UCF's 25-game winning streak finally came to an end on New Year's Day in the Fiesta Bowl with that 40-32 loss to LSU.
To the NHL, we have 12 games on the ice tonight, a very busy evening, so let's go through some of the storylines to get you set up for the night.
Good afternoon, I'm Brad Smith, and here are some top stories from Cheddar on Stadium. After more than 2 years of negotiating, the MLB and Cuba have struck a deal.
Let's turn our attention now to the association and welcome in our NBA insider here at Stadium, Shams Charani.
I'm bringing back Kentucky. I picked them to win it all.
Wow.
And I wanted to get rid of that after they lost by 100 to Duke. I was like, all right, can I have a mulligan?
Yasiel Puig, Matt Kemp, Alex Wood, and Kyler Farmer are all going to Cincinnati in exchange for Homer Bailey and a pair of minor leaguers.
We've got a great matchup for you.
Touchdown! There may be a better play the rest of the day.
I know what I did in that box.
Tiger will win a major again.
Possible shot. That's what I'm talking about.
Four minutes to go here in the first half. Noah Kozlov, Tim Doyle, our stadium crew with you at the Ford Center at the Star in Frisco, Texas, where North Texas is 5 for 20 and 1 for 7 from 3. A lot of fans here. Denton to Frisco, about 30 miles east, as Rick Stansberry's team trying to get to the NCAA tournament for the first time since winning the Sun Belt in 2012 and 2013. And we were talking about that bonus play. So maybe the Missouri Valley looks into it?
I think no doubt, because think about 2 years ago, you don't have the story of Loyola Chicago as Savage buries a 3.
Right out of the timeout, Savage from the corner, and the lead is 19.
You know, you don't have Sister Jean, you don't have that epic Final Four run. If they lose to Illinois State in the conference final, they don't get in 2 years ago.
Simmons not enough.
I think the Atlantic 10, the Mountain West.
But although they're going to look to see if it works for Conference USA before they start messing with it too. And this year, I don't think the results were what the intent of the bonus play was meant to play out.
But I appreciate thinking outside the box and trying to give other teams a chance, because it's so hard as a mid-major to schedule.
That's the toughest part.
So how do you get those quad 1 and quad 2 wins? You got to go on the road. Like a UNC Greensboro, they were beating Kentucky at the half. They lost to LSU by 2 possessions, but they still lost, and that's all the resume is going to show, and that's awful. They deserve to get in my eyes.
Yeah, and it's just difficult to figure out what the selection committee is always looking at, as Jemiah Simmons gets to the basket and he's fouled, but you can see what Conference USA has done in the tournament over the past 4 years. They've won a game every year as a 12, 13, 14, 15. That middle win over Michigan State in 16 was a shocker.
Yeah, a lot of people say Michigan State should have been a 1, but the reality is Middle Tennessee should not have been a 15. And then the following year, in that 12-5 game, Middle Tennessee was actually favored over Minnesota. So even though it was an upset on seeding wise, it wasn't so much in Vegas. And I felt that Middle Tennessee, Marshall, and last year Justin Johnson, Dwight Kobe, that Western Kentucky team, they could have knocked off anyone. They beat Purdue in non-conference play. That team is as talented a squad as I have seen in this conference in a long time. Made it to the finals of the NIT.
Speaking of Vegas, they gave North Texas a whole lot of respect in this one. Good defense there for the full 30. You had North Texas, it's only a 16-point lead instead of a 19-point lead. Rick Stansberry's team was the preseason favorite in Conference USA. North Texas, preseason number 4, finished 21-11. Duffy can't get around Anderson. Simmons, and Anderson fouled him.
I I thought that was good defense there. I thought
too.
Josh Anderson went vertical.
Me too. That's his second.
Great job of moving their feet. This has really been an example over the first 18 minutes of the first half that when Western Kentucky is locked in, especially from a defensive standpoint,
absolutely,
they could really just clamp down on teams. And I've been on squads, especially in high school, the AAU level, really talented teams that had a switch, that knew. And then at St. John's, even when I was at Northwestern, if we played a lesser opponent in a non-conference game, we knew like we could just turn it on. And that's what I'm watching Western Kentucky do right now, almost flip that switch now that they're into March.
They're certainly talented enough to join that list of schools that we saw win a game in the tournament from Conference USA over the past 4 years.
You knock off Wisconsin, and I watched that game. They beat Wisconsin fair and square. It wasn't like they shot 75%. They just were better that night.
Snapped Arkansas's 28-game home winning streak against non-conference opponents. Beat West Virginia. Not much for that this year. Hollingsworth traveled and beat St. Mary's, but as we showed you earlier, lost to Missouri State, lost to Indiana State, lost to Troy. That'll hurt the resume if you continue to be really good in conference. The officials are headed over the table to review something. Maybe something on the shot clock. All right, so the clock resets, 1:45 and a fresh 30. You've got the two-screen experience going on with us at Stadium. About 200 feet from us as Simmons gets it in close, and he's just turning into bodies. And Simmons has his first field goal. We've got Marshall and Southern Miss going on across the curtain, and a turnover. And see if North Texas can get a little momentum heading into the break. They led 39-22 at half yesterday against FIU, and Ryan Woolridge hit a three-quarter court shot. He's got the ball right now, a three-quarter court shot at the horn.
Hollingsworth doing a great job on Gibson. He is glued on number one.
Simmons. Again. Another opportunity. Duffy for three. It would be a big one. It's short. Rick Stansberry calls timeout. Try to set something up with 33.9 to go.
Duffy ended up getting a good look, and you and I were right behind that shot. It was straight on, but just short.
1 for 8 from 3 is North Texas. So coming off that non-conference schedule we mentioned, the wins against Wisconsin and Arkansas and West Virginia and St. Mary's, over the last 2 years, Western Kentucky 7-3 against the Power 5. And then they open up Conference USA, did Western Kentucky 1-3. They lost 3 in a row, lost at ODU by 3.
That was a game they led 21-0 and lost.
And that was coming off ODU losing nearly at the buzzer against Marshall. Then they lost to Marshall by 1. Then they lost to FIU by 1 when they were up by 16 with 12 minutes to go. They had in all those games, when they opened up 1-3, their first 3 Conference USA losses, they all led by 15 points at one point during the game and lost them all. Yeah. So we're not lying when we say that this team hasn't put together the full 40 yet in conference.
Hollingsworth got to go get the ball here.
He has it. Uses the screen from Savage. In the corner, Nelson, and the shot clock expires. Hollingsworth just put it up.
I'll tell you this right now, that was not what Rick Stansbury drew up in the timeout. Hollingsworth's got to be smarter than that and realize he's got to go make a play. Now, flip side here, Woolridge, look for a high ball screen. If I'm Western Kentucky, I do not help off Woolridge. He's driving, looking to create. I would make him finish.
He hasn't finished those floaters, 1 for 4. It's 3 straight turnovers for Western Kentucky. Looks like they're trying to reset the clock here. Make it 9.9. And here's Woolridge. He's got that high screen, but it wasn't effective. And then Hollingsworth picked his pocket. Hollingsworth at the horn, no. That's how we'll go into the half. Well, it certainly wasn't pretty, Tim. But Western Kentucky goes into half, and Big Red is, I guess, smiling. Up 15.
Yeah, no Charles Bassey for the last 5+ minutes of the first half. Rick Stansbury's defense off the charts, allowed only 16 points, turned North Texas over double-digit times, and now a 15-point halftime lead. For some reason, though, feels like it's 30.
Western Kentucky does not lose when they allow opponents under 60, and that's the way North Texas is headed. It's going to take a lot in front of a home crowd here in Frisco.
I'm Amina Smith, host of Emerge, where everything high school basketball and football lives. Here's a taste of what you can see every Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern right here on Stadium. Let's take you to the Bayou for a look at how the playoffs are shaping up down there. And for that, we bring in our insider, Lenny Van Gilder. Lenny, thanks so much for joining us.
Give me everything where I'm just like the star, and then I'll be like, I don't know,
What?
Like, go back.
Hopefully when Michael blows up, he doesn't act like he doesn't know me.
Amina who?
Amina who? You see how he treats me? Time to transition to the hardwood for a look at the latest. Let's welcome in our 247 basketball recruiting analyst, Brian Snow. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. Switching gears to our special guest today, former NFL wide receiver Anquan Bolden. Thanks so much for joining us here in studio.
What happened to my man to put his hand up, though?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one also. See, we had so many good plays on Emerge. It's hard to cut these down.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the show Danny P.
And I'm Kilo Pillow.
Welcome to the meta.
Oh my God! Oh, did you kill that? Every Friday night, we bring you news and notes from the world of esports and gaming, including scores, tournament updates, and in-depth analysis.
We also bring you incredible guests and high-octane gameplay, all just for you.
That's what that means, that they let all of them go.
Holy pig!
Watch point your brother.
Oh.
There are two very, very simple things you can do. Hero ban, map ban.
Yep. And that fixes all of us.
Oh my God.
Let's go.
Yeah. Imagine him spinning in that cloak going, die, die, die. This is the meta. Airing every Friday night starting at 10 p.m. Eastern.
Exclusively on twitch.tv/Stadium2.
What an exciting regular season of Conference USA men's basketball we just wrapped up. And after some amazing performances, let's see which players deserve a little extra recognition and take home this year's superlative awards. BJ Stith from Old Dominion takes home this year's coveted Player of the Year award after an amazing senior campaign. The guard leads the Monarchs in both scoring and rebounding, averaging 17.3 points and 7.4 boards a contest, and falls within the top 10 in league standings in both those categories, ranking 8th in scoring and 6th in rebounding. Shooting 42.3% from the field and 37.4% from beyond the arc, Stith has reached double-digit scoring in 26 games this season, and his 9 double-doubles on the year rank 3rd amongst all CUSA players. He was named Conference USA Player of the Week 3 consecutive weeks in December, making him just the 2nd player in CUSA history to do so. What may come as no surprise to most, The 2018-2019 Conference USA Freshman of the Year is Charles Bassey from WKU. The freshman center has made an immediate impact in his first year with the Hilltoppers, averaging 15 points, 9.9 rebounds, and 2.4 blocks, while shooting an impressive 62.9% from the field. He ranks in the top 20 nationally in field goal percentage, double-doubles, blocks, and rebounding, while his 15 double-doubles leads all CUSA players. Bassey was named CUSA Freshman of the Week 10 times this season, tying the league record, and has also been named one of the 5 finalists for the 2019 Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Center of the Year Award. In addition to being named this year's Freshman of the Year, he was also named the CUSA Defensive Player of the Year, becoming just the second player in CUSA history to accomplish such a feat. Middle Tennessee's Antonio Green comes away with this year's Newcomer of the Year award. The University of Texas Rio Grande Valley transfer who came in and started every game for the Blue Raiders this season leads the team in scoring, averaging 18.3 points a game, and has logged 16 games with 20 or more points, plus a pair of 30-point performances. The junior guard's 18.3 scoring average ranks 5th amongst all CUSA players, while his 87.4 free throw percentage and his 104 total three-pointers both rank 2nd in league standings. The 87.4% from the charity stripe ranks 5th on the program's single-season charts, while the 104 three-pointers shattered the school's previous three-point record of 85. This year's Conference USA 6th Player of the Year is shared between Ladavius Drain from Southern Miss and Xavier Stapleton from Florida Atlantic. Having played in every regular season game for the Golden Eagles so far this season, Drain ranks 3rd on the team in scoring, averaging 11.3 points off the bench. The sophomore guard leads the league in three-point percentage, shooting 46.6% from downtown, while his 49.2% from the field ranks 12th amongst all CUSA players. Drain has scored in double figures 17 times this season, and his 24 points against UTEP on February 16th marked a career high. And Xavier Stapleton, like Drain, has played a key role off the bench for his team, helping the Owls secure their first winning season in nearly a decade. The graduate forward ranks 3rd on the team in scoring, averaging 13.2 points a game, even after missing a handful of games earlier this season because of injury. Against CUSA foes, Stapleton has been even more impressive, averaging 14.1 points a contest. He has led the team in scoring on 6 different occasions, and his 36.4 three-point percentage and 2.1 threes per game both fall within the top 15 in league rankings. And the 2018-2019 Gene Bartow Men's Basketball Coach of the Year is Old Dominion head coach Jeff Jones. After placing 2nd in league standings last season, Jones's Monarchs entered this year's tournament as the top seed after claiming their first ever Conference USA regular season title and the program's first regular season title since 2010. ODU boasts a 13-5 conference record and a 23-8 overall record, which includes wins over non-conference opponents Northern Iowa, VCU, and at the time, 25th ranked Syracuse at the Carrier Dome. The Monarchs were receiving votes at 2 different points this season and have won 7 of their last 9 games. Now let's take a look at which players earned spots on this year's all-conference teams.
Top 3 cornerbacks returning in CUSA.
Let's start with Marshall. We're going to go with Chris Jackson. I really like his game. Like, this is a guy that he's got squabbles about him. He's ready to come up and make a hit. He wants to scrap it out, and I like that out of a cornerback. Guy with a little bit of attitude that wants to fight. He's very good in zone. I think he may be the best zone corner in Conference USA, but you got to do a little bit more than that, which is why he's at number 3 on the list. In man coverage, sometimes he gets a little over-aggressive or he gets caught staring at the quarterback. So he has to make sure that he corrects those flaws, but certainly someone who's fantastic. Next up for me, Amik Robertson. He is at Louisiana Tech. This is one of those guys that just has a feel for the game. He was a freshman All-American. He understands where he's supposed to be and how he can impact the play. He's great in zone. I like him in man more than I wish they played more man. Watching them play, I wish they played more man and let him go out and just basically shut down that side of the field because he's capable of doing it. And then last but not least, we got to get to Kyle Hemby. Kyle Hemby is a monster. This dude at the cornerback spot wants to come up and be physical on the hit. He plays very good man coverage. He understands where the ball is at all times, and I think that's a big positive for him. He doesn't have as many pass breakups as some of the other guys, but that's because you don't throw the football over him. So he's very good, and when you put the ball up, he's going to pick it off.
Now, I got to say, I like this list, but I'm a little surprised there are no UAB players on your list.
UAB probably has the best 1-2 punch in turn because we're looking to see Starling Thomas come up and he played a lot in spots a year ago. Now he gets to be the full-time starter, and you throw in Bronte Harris. They have the opportunity to be very good. Just didn't think that individually they're good, but as a collective, they're the best in the group.
Yeah, it's certainly not bad to be in this position, and certainly not bad to be in a position where, as a team, as a unit, you are right at the top of this list.
Are you kidding me? Shots like that lead to upset city.
Derek was 17 years old when he said, "I'm gonna save my family." I heard him say this. I said, "How you gonna save your family?" Watch.
All this was for my fans. To get everything out, get it off my chest.
It's good for you, man, because you never say
Derrick Rose is maybe the best player in America. Unbelievable. Derrick Rose, another steal.
Once he was in the league, it was just different.
We had this amazing kid, an MVP.
If you're an athlete from Chicago, the last thing you want to do is play in Chicago.
As quickly as he exploded, it burned out.
It's the first time that people are going to get to see like the real him.
I want it to be real. I want it to be authentic. I want people to feel it. I want it to touch your soul.
It was Chicago's sports civil war.
People wanted to tear him down.
Derrick, you suck. Get him out of here. Trade him. I don't know my story. I don't know where I came from. I don't know any of that. I always was saving my real answers for something bigger, and I feel like this is what I was saving it for.
Too big,
Too strong,
too fast,
too good.
Derrick Rose.
Pretty similar to the only other time these two teams played this season. It was 30-15 at the half on that date, 31-16 at the break here in the quarterfinals of the Conference USA tournament. Noah Kozlov, Tim Doyle. It was just great defense from Western Kentucky.
Well, a team that's energized and focused. Scouting report off the charts. They've really focused on getting out on three-point shooters. They knew that if North Texas was going to compete in this game, they were going to have to make double-digit threes. They have really wiped them out from an offensive standpoint. And then Tavion Hollingsworth got his offensive rhythm going. He had 10 first-half points. This one right here, the three-point play, was really special. Charles Bassey played limited minutes, only 10 in the first half, so Hollingsworth had to pick up the slack from a scoring standpoint, and score he did. He is the only players in double figures for either team.
Our player to watch and the first half stats from Yahoo Sports. Enter your bracket now, yahoo.com/best bracket for a chance to win $1 million. Second half coming up on Stadium. Second half set to get underway here at the Star in Frisco, Texas. Ford Center at the Star. Noah Kozlov, Tim Doyle, our stadium crew, a 15-point deficit. And what do you know? As Tim says, feed the horse. And Charles Bassey just couldn't chew.
He doesn't miss that opportunity too often. You got to see if Umoja Gibson can get going here. Hollingsworth has been all over the freshman sensation. Gibson only 2 first-half points.
Story in that first half, 11 turnovers from North Texas, and they shot 25% from the floor. Miller way off on the three.
If I was Gibson, I would try to bring Bassey out on the perimeter and get him in a pick-and-roll situation. Try to get some sort of switch. Get Bassey out of his comfort zone. Get him try to play defense out on the perimeter.
Savage. And the lead grows on the first field goal attempt of the second half. A three from Jared Savage, local kid, Bowling Green, Kentucky.
That's his second made three of the game and was not recruited by the previous coaching staff to go to Western Kentucky. Ends up at Austin Peay and now has found a home here at Western Kentucky.
He finds a blocked shot as well. Gibson for three. Smart had it, and then Bassey picked it up.
There's something to monitor here. Western Kentucky's not very deep. And if you're going to win 3 games in 3 nights, you're going to have to watch the minutes of your star players. You agree?
And we saw it in that first half, too. There's the bench got a lot of minutes as Josh Anderson attacks and throws it in reverse. And I think that was on Rick Stansbury's mind in that first half. Let's give these guys a bit of a breather, and I think that's why I'd like to open up an even bigger lead. to do the same in the second half. I think it's a great idea, Tim. And Gibson will go to the free throw line.
And I think for North Texas, they're going to be playing postseason basketball. And we take a look at a second chance points. That was really Bassey that I was worried about. Western Kentucky won that battle 10-2. And for Western Kentucky, I think 6 first half turnovers is respectable. I think they want to keep it in that 10 for the game range. Lamonte Bearden's done a great job over his last 10 games, 66 assists and only 17 turnovers. He had 2 assists in that first half with no turnovers.
The foul was on Bearden. His second. The lead is 18. And these two teams played back on February 9th in Denton. It was the start of a 7-game losing streak. Bassey range over the backboard. It was the start of the 7-game losing streak, which extended until last night when North Texas beat FIU. Down 30-15 at the half was North Texas. Second half, shot 16 of 33 from the floor. 6 of 17 from 3, crashed the offensive glass also, 14 offensive rebounds. So they have a little bit of a formula to get back into it, but they did that also with no Jordan Duffy, battling those hip injuries all year, and it'll stay with North Texas.
The focus on the defensive end for Western Kentucky has just been outstanding. You could tell, just watch the pointing and the communication on defense. The guys are moving their feet. Help defense has been excellent. Good job by Savage there, staying on the ground. It's just better offense.
Tough shot from Roosevelt Smart. Last year set the single season scoring record, 742 points and 3-pointers made with 133. Way down this year, as you mentioned earlier, Tim, at 11 a game, and you want to see him get going. Bassey couldn't finish, but he'll go to the free throw line.
He takes it out of the chair there. No need for that, Charles.
Chair never did anything to you. Foul was on Zachary Simmons, just his first, which is a bit impressive, having to deal with Bassey, but Western Kentucky didn't really go to the big man too much in the first half.
I sent you a video today of Bassey shooting 3-pointers. What'd you think? I was at a Western Kentucky game. I got a chance to film him. What'd you think of his form?
I didn't think it was awful.
See, his rotation's good. He shoots the ball nice and high.
Yeah, I think it's something that any team or trainer can work with going into the draft, if that's what he decides to do. He's only 18.
Because he's an old school big man, and you don't see too many of them like that. Like a Valanciunas. There's not too many big men that stay under the basket in the NBA.
And it's okay to do that as long as you can defend on the perimeter. Woolridge for a 3. Just the second 3 of the evening, and the first for Woolridge. Hollingsworth, floater, and around and in. He's got himself under control tonight, does Hollingsworth. He's got a game-high 12. Woolridge comes back, and Bassey got a piece of the ball, but maybe it was Anderson with the body. So the question is, having played this game at this level, Tim, what do you project forward for Bassey? It's a tough question. I'm not asking you, should he stay or should he go? But I'm asking, what do you think his pro prospects are?
As far as, I believe he's a first-round pick. I think he is hurt by how the game is played now. Athletic, perimeter-based. Here's a guy who definitely has soft hands. He's got great timing as far as blocking shots. But he's going to have to guard the pick and roll in the NBA. And, like, when you get switched out on Russell Westbrook, that's a tough matchup.
Right, but also say, like, speaking of Western Kentucky, how about what Mitchell Robinson has done. As Bassie, the lob is errant.
I don't think that Bassie right now is that elite level of an athlete as Smart takes it in.
And the lead is 13. So North Texas chipping away here.
I do think size can't be taught, and he's a first-round pick. But Rick Stansbury, he's going to take a timeout and say, we got to get the big man some more touches. This crowd wants to get involved. North Texas crawling back into this one, still within striking range. They're down 13.
Hi, I'm Michael Kim, host of The Territory, your destination for all the sports news and information you need to start your day. Here's a taste of what you can expect. Houston introduces Dana Holgorsen as its next head coach. Holgorsen returns to Houston, where he was the offensive coordinator. Adam Kaplan, NFL Insider, joining us here. You can call it a mess, a controversy, whatever you want to call it. Where did the Steelers go from here? Miami introduces Manny Diaz as the 25th head coach in program history. Brian Orakpo has retired. The four-time Pro Bowler made the announcement yesterday. Lawrence Holmes, the hardest working man in show business, the godfather of Chicago sports. Right there, the answers over the last 5 minutes here. He proves why he is the godfather of Chicago sports. Good stuff, Lawrence, as always.
Never secondary. Yeah. We're legendary. Can he go the distance? Yes, he can. Never secondary. We're legendary. Oh, my. I can't believe what I just saw. Never secondary. We're legendary. We're legendary. Oh, my goodness. We're legendary.
Our friend of the game from Yahoo Sports. The Pope. You can see the Pope Mobile parked outside. North Texas looking for a higher power, some divine intervention. Getting back into this one on an 11-4 run. Your fan of the game from Yahoo Sports. Maybe the Pope will enter his bracket now at yahoo.com/bestbracket for a chance to win $1 million.
If that Pope can bury some threes, Grant McCaslin throw him out on the floor. Beard or no beard, I think his defense is going to be a bit suspect. But if he can shoot, that's the thing that's been plaguing North Texas in this game is scoring. But no, they're clearly within striking range. You want to get this game under 10 with 10 minutes left, and they definitely have a shot at that.
Not a good pass for Bassie, but he wanted it there. 7 on the shot clock for Bearden. Draper's on him. Bearden, a tough shot. Smart attacking. And Bassie changed that one, and Savage has it. Even if you're not credited with the block, can impact the game so many other ways. Hollingsworth for 3, and it's a quick 5-0 run out of the timeout. And then the moving screen, and the jacket comes off from Grant McCaslin. A 5-0 run out of the timeout, and he's got words for Clyde Owens. Good ball movement from Western Kentucky to grow the lead back to 18.
Hey, I'm Kristen Balboni, the host of Campus Insiders. We got you covered every weekday at 2:30 Eastern. We're telling you all the biggest news from the world of college sports. We're talking Big 12, ACC, Mountain West, Conference USA, and so much more. Take a look. We start things off with our football insider, Brett McMurphy, to break down all things CUSA. You know it's time for our favorite game. Great move, real smooth, gotta improve. Oh. We know that the Big 12 always produces good players, and we know the big names that are out there right now. But who is the guy that no one's talking about that's really good?
Yeah, learn the name. He's only a sophomore, Tristan Clark.
Well, it's time to welcome in our Hoops insider, Jeff Goodman. So, Jeff, you know, if we're talking Mountain West, we got to start with Nevada, of course. Now, to give us the scoop on everything in the college football world, it's time to welcome in our friend Matt Fortuna from The Athletic.
Look at this. I mean, this is like stuff that happens at Cape Canaveral.
great matchup for you.
Touchdown! There may be a better play the rest of the day.
I know what I did in that box.
Tiger will win a major again.
Possible shot! That's what I'm talking about!
Western Kentucky with an 18-point lead, and this should be their blueprint of how to run their offense. Check out Charles Bassey, working hard down low. Get him a touch early, often. The big man's not selfish. Now, he's got options on the perimeter. Watch Beard, an extra pass. That's the right way to play. Hollingsworth, he had 10 in the first half. He buries another 3. And you and I talked about this at the beginning of the game. Throw the ball to Bassey. And
good things happen.
No doubt. He's not a selfish kid. You know, looking at his numbers, he's got a chance to be the first freshman since Greg Oden to average 15 points, 9 rebounds, and 2 block shots, and shoot 60% from the field. I played against that Greg Oden team. He was a senior when I was a freshman at Northwestern. And I was one of those not so smart people that said, you gotta take Greg Oden instead of taking Kevin Durant.
Yeah, you weren't the only one.
Don't! What an idiot.
Also, not the last time you'll hear that. But again, Bassey's just 18 years old. Smart. Into the corner with 5 on the shot clock. He gets it back on the wing. Put it up. Woolridge. They're just losing sense of the shot clock.
You mentioned this before. I thought it was a great point, Noah. Bassey did not get a credited on a block shot on that play either. But Smart got in the lane, and he saw Bassey. You know, and this is where it gets back to when I played Oden. I remember Ohio State played a lot of 2-3 zone because Oden had a hurt hand a lot, so they try to put him in the 2-3 zone. And I flashed at the high post, and I took a turnaround jump shot, and Oden jumped. And I just remember, I thought, I cannot see the hoop.
It was like an eclipse.
It was like angels were singing as it like sailed over his hand.
So what happened to it?
I think I bricked it long, but as I shot it, I went, oh no, this shot's in trouble. Because he jumped, and then all I saw was just like a body there.
What a team with Conley.
Daquan Cook.
Yeah. All those guys playing AAU together.
And who would have thought at that time that Mike Conley ends up being one of the highest paid players in the history of the NBA, and Greg Oden's out of the NBA.
Simmons and Bassey says, no.
And that's his timing. He embarrassed Ethan Happ in that game. Now, Happ had great numbers, Wisconsin, but Bassey just ate him up down low and then not able to finish on the other end.
But Anderson skying in for that.
I thought Bassey just ate Ethan Happ's lunch and frustrated the All-American from Wisconsin.
North Texas needs it, and Woolridge delivers. So you got to think, as long as they're keeping it at 15, you know, for maybe the next 2 minutes, or get inside 15, Western Kentucky can't go to their bench. Bassey eats. So make it 17. And then makes tomorrow night maybe more difficult. Get the winner of Marshall Southern Miss, Simmons, back the other way. That game going on right now on Facebook. You can check that out on Facebook with Chris Hassel and Tim Scarborough and Kristen Balboni. It's a good 2-screen night in Conference USA. Then use your other screen, your phone, to text your friends to say, watch us. And the Facebook game. 3-2 strong. Bassey another rebound. He's got 6.
Yeah, but Western Kentucky, look at these guys walking down the floor right now. Remember, they're going to have to play 3 games in 3 nights. And the reality is, what do they play? 7 guys, maybe 8? You wonder if that's going to catch up with them.
It's always a question around tournament time. Bearden with Draper on hand. Simmons the board.
Bassey's tired. Chance to get out in transition.
Woolridge, thought twice when he saw 23 in white. That's a better look for Gibson around and out. 3 for 15 from deep for the Mean Green. You can see Woolridge hobbling also, battling that tendonitis in his leg, and he is hobbling. Anderson met at the top by Simmons. A lot of contact. Rick Stansbury wanted the call. Woolridge has to be careful. His shoe's untied. Sound like my mother. Woolridge.
All right, a couple good looks there. You know, you make both of those, Gibson and Woolridge, you got yourself a 9-point game, but when times get tough, you got to think Bassey's got to get a touch. Both these teams are gassed right now.
Oh, the pump fake, and then Draper took it away from him, but he's fouled. Why would Simmons go for a pump fake from Charles Bassey, who's only put up 18 threes all year? Stay on the ground. Down by 15.
Oh, God. Someone throw me a bottle of Advil now. I'm going to need it this entire damn show.
On behalf of America's team, Tyler Schramm Jacobs, I, Dave Ross, would like to offer you a peace offering today. Yeah, it's like the Matumbo. Man, I'm so glad I didn't lose this wager.
Ah! My word! On the concrete!
Guys. Sierra's here. Of course it's not real. Come on. Ask any woman. They'll tell you.
If there was only an expression that could explain exactly what it means for America to be represented by the Cowboys.
Never secondary. Yeah. We're legendary. Can he go the distance? Yes, he can. Never secondary. We're legendary. Oh, my! I can't believe what I just saw. Never secondary. We're legendary. We're legendary. Oh, my goodness. We're legendary.
Western Kentucky plus 15, 47-32 with 10:21 to go in the second half. Charles Bassey, Tim, 6 points, 7 boards.
Yeah, the numbers aren't going to be very gaudy. You see the block shot here. He's got exceptional timing. But Noah, you and I have pointed out maybe 5 different possessions where he has affected a North Texas player who's gotten in the lane and has thought twice about challenging a guy like Bassey, who has more blocks than 57 Division I basketball teams out there. You see the numbers this year. He has been dominating Conference USA.
He's got 3 tonight. Jared Savage with 2. Bassey's the only player in the country with 308 rebounds, 74 blocks, and 27 steals. The old 308, 74, 27 club.
Yeah, I laugh because my senior year at Northwestern, I think I scored like 300 points, 150 rebounds,
I mean, we can look
150 assists, and 50 steals, and I'm one of only like 14 Big Ten players ever to do it.
Really?
But the numbers are so obscure. Like, the steals is what did it for me. I had 50 steals, a lot of steals in a year.
Yeah.
Like Magic, Scott Styles, Isaiah. It was like a pretty funny list. But the numbers, you can always just like tilt those to favor you, to show you that you're better than what you were. And I clearly researched it.
Yeah. you told the sports information staff, no, I got it. Don't worry about it. I got this. Gibson, no, but another opportunity.
You know, Darren Williams did it, but he played a lot more games than me because they went to the final game our senior year at Illinois.
And that's Jemiah Simmons who will go to the line. And didn't you play that UNC team that beat Illinois? Did you play that team with Sean May, those guys, when you were at St. John's?
I saw those guys at St. John's, Rashad McCants, Raymond Felton, and that was the year Sean May broke his foot, then Matt Doherty was fired. Roy Williams took over and won a national championship with players that Matt Doherty recruited at North Carolina.
Martin Williams.
I don't know, was Marvin on that team or was he on the team with Hansborough and Ty Lawson? And Roy's won a few now.
Well, Marvin was part of that draft with Darren Williams and Chris Paul.
All right, then he was on that team. I think maybe a freshman, right?
And the six-man on that team.
He was only a one-and-done type guy. And Roy's got another one. Good squad this year. Cameron Johnson, Luke May, older guys, experienced guys. You beat Duke twice. There's something to be said about North Carolina.
Western Kentucky plus 14. Hollingsworth, the floater, kept his pivot foot. I'll tell you what, the assistant coaches from North Texas did not keep their pivot feet. They were dancing about that call. And Woolridge is limping again. But he'll go to the line for the three-point play.
Yeah, I got a chance to see Ryan Woolridge at Old Dominion very early in the conference season, and he has lost maybe 2 gears or 3 gears. He is out there on sheer guts and determination. Watch him. I mean, look at his movements. He's guarding the basketball right now. You can't say this guy's at 100%.
No, not even close. I'm actually surprised he's still out there, but he is gutting it out. The junior from Mansfield, Texas, about an hour south of Frisco, where we are for the second straight year for the Conference USA tournament.
You could just see the lineup that Western Kentucky has out there. They're trying to rest some guys right now.
If this is that lineup they threw out there in the first half with Hollingsworth and a bunch of bench players, and with 1 second on the shot clock, that'll drive a coach nuts. And the foul is on Gibson, his third. The shot clock goes to 20. We've got Nelson out there, Tolu Smith, Jun, and Jake Omer with the starter Hollingsworth. Another floater. Hollingsworth is making a living on that floater. He's got 19. Rounding out on the three was Gibson. Jemiah Simmons, no. Draper fakes it away for the second chance opportunity. Another three for Gibson. And North Texas just can't buy a three-pointer.
You look over at the Western Kentucky bench. Charles Bassey, Jared Savage, Josh Anderson, Lamonte Bearden, 4 starters right now. Rick Stansbury's been through this war before. Last year lost in the conference final to Marshall. And that was last year not a very deep team either. So maybe trying to get these guys some extra minutes on the bench now to save the legs for later.
Made a run in the NIT last year. Hollingsworth, smart the board, beat Boston College, USC, Oklahoma State, Draper. He must be lifting. Then lost against Utah at Madison Square Garden in the semis. They've lost in the Conference USA Finals, mentioned last year. Lost in 16 to ODU. They lost in the Sun Belt Finals in 13 and 12. After winning the regular season title. Should have said that they won in 12 against North Texas and they won in 13. Just not as much luck in Conference USA. We'll get it sorted out.
Hey, I'm Kristen Balboni, one of the hosts of Game Time in America, the show that gets you set for everything happening that night in sports. Here's a look at what you can expect every Monday through Friday at 6 Eastern. UCF's 25-game winning streak finally came to an end on New Year's Day in the Fiesta Bowl with that 40-32 loss to LSU.
To the NHL, we have 12 games on the ice tonight, a very busy evening, so let's go through some of the storylines to get you set up for the night.
Good afternoon, I'm Brad Smith, and here are some top stories from Cheddar on Stadium. After more than 2 years of negotiating, the MLB and Cuba have struck a deal.
Let's turn our attention now to the association and welcome in our NBA insider here at Stadium, Shams Charani.
I'm bringing back Kentucky. I picked them to win it all.
Wow.
And I wanted to get rid of that after they lost 500 to Duke. I was like, all right, can I have a mulligan?
Yasiel Puig, Matt Kemp, Alex Wood, and Kyler Farmer are all going to Cincinnati in exchange for Homer Bailey and a pair of minor leaguers.
We've got a great matchup for you.
Touchdown! There may be a better play the rest of the day.
I know what I did in that box.
Tiger will win a major again.
Possible shot! That's what I'm talking about!
So you see that curtain on the right. Take about, I don't know, 60 steps that way through the curtain, and you'll find Marshall against Southern Miss in a 1-point, now 3-point game. Southern Miss up early in the second half, 47-44. That's Court B. Here on Court A, it's Western Kentucky who's been in control ever since the opening minutes of this game at 52-36.
Well, for Southern Miss, Latavius Drain, he's got 14 early on. I believe one of the best shooters in all of college basketball, not just Conference USA, as Omer lets it fly.
Got a whistle on the floor, and was the ball kicked? It was. So it'll be Western Kentucky basketball.
A high-scoring game. Southern Miss with 50, Marshall with 44, and there's still 16 minutes left in the second half. Marshall's already made 12 three-pointers. Remember earlier in the year, Southern Miss beat Marshall 100-50.
Jun for three. And in this one, the magic number is 129. Right now, we're at 88. If you're watching for the magic number, we appreciate you. And their ball again from three from Smart.
Yeah, you got to think that trying to get his players rest. Rick Stansbury, check him out. He's telling these guys to slow it down. He is going to work the shot clock here because 16-point lead. I have to get these guys some rest. It's a good chance for a guy like Tolu Smith to work on his game.
Back the other way comes Duffy. Duffy from Salisbury, Maryland. Really came through in the CBI last year. Bricks the three there. Average 18 a game. North Texas won the CBI.
I think there's a conversation. Do we even see Bassey the rest of this game?
Probably not.
That's surprising considering you're not up 26 by keeping those legs fresh. That's what makes, I believe, the conference tournament so difficult to handicap. You see Smith there get fouled. Noah, you don't play back-to-back games in the NCAA tournament, right? You play Thursday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday.
Right.
What other time of the year do you play 3 games in 3 nights?
Just holiday tournaments.
If you're in one.
Right.
So this is an unusual thing, and for your whole season to be riding on 3 games in 3 nights,
I agree.
You have to coach differently. You can't coach like, hey, we're going to play Thursday and Saturdays. When I was in the Big Ten, we played Wednesday and Saturdays. So Charles Bassey, his numbers are not going to be gaudy, but he has to realize you got to keep your legs fresh because I played 3 games in 3 nights, and that 3rd game is rough.
And that's why it's so brutal for teams in mid-major conferences that you could dominate during the regular season and then end up losing in their conference tournament, even if they lose in the conference finals, and then not get a bid. Things like that aren't taken into account.
I love the way that Woolridge is out there diving on loose balls. He has been giving it his all today, and he really has only one good wheel. You see the sleeve on the right leg.
Been battling that leg tendonitis. Only player in school history with the 1,000 points, 400 rebounds, 400 assists as Simmons reverses into. And North Texas wants to talk things over, now down 16.
You got to think that Grant McCaslin's going to extend some pressure. And Western Kentucky's trying to keep some bodies fresh out here. I think for North Texas, they're going to have to bury some threes to get in this one.
And the threes haven't come. 3 for 22. Let's take a look at the play of the game, brought to you by Yahoo Sports.
Tavion Hollins, where he had just buried a three the previous possession. This time he gets Woolridge on his hip. He's able to hit, convert the three-point play. Came into the game only 53 points away from 1,000, and that is a remarkable accomplishment for a guy who's only a sophomore. I love the pace that he plays at. He has set the tone for Western Kentucky, which has now put it back in their starters to maybe round out the last couple of minutes of this game.
See Bassey. And Hollingsworth has been pretty open after his freshman year, battling depression. He was homesick. His daughter Aubrey was born right after he left for Western Kentucky. So he's gone through some things off the floor. And certainly brought him to a different place emotionally. Anderson, mid-range, that's pretty.
Josh Anderson.
And if he's going to play at the next level, he's going to have to continue to knock down shots like that and extend his range. For the game, North Texas is shooting 27%. As Smart gets fouled, going to the hoop.
You know what's interesting, and it's sad in a way because you and I grew up in a different generation, but Bassey's only a freshman. Josh Anderson's only a sophomore. Savage, a junior, and Hollingsworth, a sophomore. And we talked about all those games that they lost early on by 1 point. Bad losses. I'm telling you, this is a top 25 team. If they all came back to school next year, how good would this squad be?
Yeah, right. If they all came back, for sure. Absolutely. Especially if they win the conference tournament. Bassey way off. That wasn't as pretty as the video you sent me of Bassey shooting a three.
That just seemed out of rhythm.
Simmons? Well, why not? Take him any way you can get. I heard it. I heard Bank. But do you think it would make a difference whether this team got to the NCAA tournament, whether they won the conference and got to the NCAA tournament, or came up short and they had something to prove next year?
Well, a guy like Bassey, I know it's only one semester. He did have a 4.0.
Yeah, really bright in high school, too.
I know going to school, you know, for some guys, it wasn't for me. It becomes a priority. But if he wants to come back to school and start expanding his range and his game, I'm okay with that as a fan.
Smart. Speaking of school, but how was school not for you, Tim, if you were at Northwestern?
Don't ask me what my GPA was.
Did it say just good enough?
Let's say it started with the number 2.
Okay.
And ended with the number 0.
Okay, good enough.
C's get degrees, Noah Kozloff.
Bearden for 3, right side.
I remember to go into classes at Northwestern, and the professor said, I'm only going to give out 6 A's in this class. I went, well, I'm not going to get one of those.
Oh, Bassey changed it again, but there's North Texas on the putback. 56-42. North Texas hasn't been to the NCAA tournament since 2010. They've been there 3 times. In 2010, the school record 24 wins, lost to Kansas State. That K-State team went on to run to the Elite 8 before losing to Butler. One of those Brad Stevens teams that lost in back-to-back title games. Anderson, 1, 2, no. Bearden, floater. Oh, Bassey cleans it up. Float it up and sink it. Charles Bassey. And Woolridge will go to the line as Savage fouled him.
Well, we've been talking about him often. He's only a teenager, but the 6'11" Charles Bassey is a special talent. I'll plead stay in school because I'm a fan. But if you can get paid, run to the league.
I'm Amina Smith, host of Emerge, where everything high school basketball and football lives. Here's a taste of what you can see every Monday through Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern right here on Stadium. Let's take you to the Bayou for a look at how the playoffs are shaping up down there. And for that, we bring in our insider, Lenny Van Gilder. Lenny, thanks so much for joining us.
Give me everything where I'm just like the star, and then I would be like, I don't know,
What?
Like go back.
Hopefully when Michael blows up, he doesn't act like he doesn't know me.
Amina who?
Amina who? You see how he treats me? Time to transition to the hardwood for a look at the latest. Let's welcome in our 247 basketball recruiting analyst, Brian Snow. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. Switching gears to our special guest today, former NFL wide receiver Anquan Bolden. Thanks so much for joining us here in studio.
What happened to my man that put his hand up, though?
Oh, yeah, that was a good one also. See, we had so many good plays on Emerge. It's hard to cut these down. We've got a great matchup for you.
Touchdown! There may be a better play the rest of the day.
I know what I did in that box.
Tiger will win a major again.
Possible shot! That's what I'm talking about!
You can have exclusive access to the best matchups, stories, and features when you subscribe to Stadium Plus. Gain access to 500 premium events, college football, basketball, baseball. Just go to watchstadium.com/stadium-plus or just search Stadium Plus and click on the link to learn how to subscribe. (58-42) as Woolridge misses the first free throw. Bassey is still in the game with 9 points, 8 boards, 4 blocks in 23 minutes. Ryan Woolridge, the now all-time leader in steals at North Texas, needed one tonight, got it. Bassey wanted the exclamation point there, or at least his teammates did on the bench. Anderson tried to deliver and came up short. He did deliver one of the all-timers earlier this year.
They just cannot bury a three. North Texas 3 of 24 from 3. Now they've had some wide open looks. I mean, you missed 21 3-pointers. If you've just made 3 or 4 of them, you're within striking distance.
Some have come late shot clock situations and they've had to force them up, but they've gotten a lot of good looks. Not a really good three-point shooting team to begin with at 31%, but you never expect to go 3 for 24.
Ryan Woolridge with the foul, his third.
Josh Anderson won 3 state titles at
the line.
Madison Prep Academy in Baton Rouge, the 4-star recruit.
Shooting 1-1.
Zachary Simmons re-enters. Roosevelt Smart takes a seat. Under 2 to go. Appreciate you joining us tonight. You can put Facebook on the big screen after us if you'd like. Southern Miss and Marshall in a good one in the second half. Just through the curtain to our right, the two-game setup. This year, Tim, they did switch it up. I wasn't here last year, but they rotated the courts so that there's more permanent seating. Instead of being in the end zones, there's now more permanent seating on the sides as Duffy. It's his first three, 1 for 5. 12-point game.
I was here last year, and I think they've done a much, much better job, Conference USA, of creating a bit of an intimate setting. And I give the fans of North Texas a lot of credit. They showed up today. Unfortunately, this was just a tough shooting night for the Mean Green, and they just never seem to get it going offensively. A little known fact about Jared Savage. He lost 2 out of 3 games of pig to me.
Oh, really? That's embarrassing.
I'm sure that's not going to go in his bio for WKU.com, but he'll have revenge next time I'm in Bowling Green.
I played multiple games of pig during the season, and I only lost once. And they're all against Tim Scarborough. Only lost to him once. Our colleague here at Stadium, who's calling the game with Chris Hassel and Kristen Balboni. I'm sure he'd be thrilled that I mentioned that on the air. Former Liberty star. Little known fact about Tim Scarborough, his brother Sid is the police officer at my high school when I was there. Small world, Tim Doyle, small world.
I think Sid is an underappreciated name. We need more Sids in this world.
We're going down that road. This game needs to end.
One of my favorite wrestlers, Sid Vicious.
Lost it. Western Kentucky in transition. Hollingsworth gets up and lays it in.
Now Woolridge is down on the other end. You hate to see this because he has gutted out every single minute for Grant McCaslin and his teammates, and he's laid it all on the line. And
can't put any pressure on it. This is getting helped up. Can't put any pressure on that right knee. And I was actually surprised to see him out there for as long as we did.
Well, you got to think that North Texas has some more basketball in front of them. They played postseason basketball last year, won a championship.
Won the CBI a year ago. They had lost 7 of 8 before the CBI last year, and they're going to go maybe into the CBI again, having lost. Well, it would be 7 of 8.
I think the reality is
8 of 9.
This was just a bad matchup. Then Bassie posed too much of a problem. We talked briefly about how this is one of the shortest teams in college basketball, 12th shortest. And the flip side is that's actually one of Western Kentucky's strengths, is with guys like Smith and Jung and obviously Bassie. And they affected so many shots today.
But again, North Texas just didn't hit shots, and Hollingsworth was really good. And I also thought that Western Kentucky controlled the pace well.
And defense. Umoja Gibson was a non-factor. He had come into this game 21 points against FIU, 7 threes. He had 18 points in the first matchup. He has been a non-factor.
1 for 7 from the floor, 0 for 6 from 3 for the redshirt freshman. Tie up, and it'll be Western Kentucky basketball. You can hear the, I don't know if you can hear it through the microphone, you can hear the Marshall Band playing the Fresh Prince theme song. It's the only band I ever heard play the Fresh Prince theme song, and it's terrific. And I love it even more that they're playing a Philadelphia song here in Cowboy country. As Smart fouls Hollingsworth.
Foul charge, DJ Draper.
Or check that, Draper.
Personal foul.
So Rick Stansberry's team battled through not having Stansberry for 4 games this year. You can see him sitting on the stool over there next to his bench. He had back surgery, missed 4 games between February 7th and the 19th. His team went 3-1, included a double overtime win at Rice, at North Texas, and against Middle, and then they lost at UAB. Tavion Hollingsworth gets a nice round of applause as he goes out after scoring 23, a game high. Stansbury trying to get back to the NCAA tournament for the first time since '09 with Mississippi State. And they will play the winner tomorrow night of Southern Miss and Marshall, going on right now on Facebook.
Delano Banton checks in the game. He was a guy who was effective very early in the non-conference season. Number 20 in white. He had almost a triple-double against Wisconsin. And I watched that game. He dominated the game. And now, typical freshman, you're going to have ups and downs. He had 8 points, 13 rebounds, 10 assists in that win for Western Kentucky. And now, out there playing the final 38 seconds of the game.
Number 2 recruit in that class coming out of New York, behind Moses Brown at UCLA. So Western Kentucky wins handedly as Gibson doesn't go 0 from 3. And Benton gets fouled hard by Duffy, and Duffy didn't want Benton going in for a dunk, so he just pushed him.
At the end of the game, the biggest thing is you don't want any injuries. I understand where Duffy's coming from. You don't want to be
shown up,
disrespected. The unwritten rules, just write them down.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Make things a lot easier. Proper etiquette at the end of games. I mean, I get what Banton's doing. I mean, he shouldn't probably be doing that, and Duffy's wrong for a hard foul, but we've seen that a lot in sports. That guy hits a home run, then he gets beamed. You know, it's one of those things that's awkward, but it's been going on since the beginning of time.
Then appropriately, this one ends on an airball 3 for North Texas as Western Kentucky handles the Mean Green in their backyard, advancing to their 3rd semifinal appearance in the last 4 years, a 16-point win.
Yeah, I thought the defense was outstanding. Attention to detail. Really guarded the 3, which was their biggest concern. If North Texas was going to win this game, they were going to have to use their 3-point shooting. Instead, it was the size, the athleticism for Rick Stansbury. Charles Bassey, Tavion Hollingsworth provided enough offensive punch. He was able to get some rest for his guys. And Western Kentucky survives and advances. We saw the very good Western Kentucky in the first half. I thought that was their best defensive performance of the year.
You like Western Kentucky and their chances against either Southern Miss or Marshall?
Southern Miss and Western Kentucky had an outstanding game. All 3 of those teams have played great games. It's Conference USA basketball. Anybody can beat anybody on any given night. We watched ODU, life and death. They pulled out a W. And Western Kentucky, more dominant. Stick around. It's going to be frenzied in Frisco.
That's a wrap from Court A for our entire crew. Tim Doyle, I'm Noah Kozlov. Thanks so much for spending time with us tonight. For more, watchstadium.com. A 16-point win in the Conference USA quarterfinals on Stadium for Western Kentucky, presented by Yahoo Sports.